250 grand for an off-season vacation. So for me, it was always really good. And but now the numbers that you're talking about, I'm hearing anywhere from
JB and AC. The energy was awesome. Those two are just like really finding their groove.
4 straight overall wins.
100 grand. Adam Cianciarulla. Checkered flag and Justin Brady.
Cianciarulla has won the 2019 PulpMX Championship.
He's gonna do it to become the oldest winner in the history of Supercross.
JB, we're back stateside after what was just a truly glorious trip to Australia. I saw you got that flight back, first class, balling out. First off, we'll talk about my experience on Australia, but how you stayed an extra week. You stayed for the last round of the Australian Supercross Championship in Adelaide. How was that? How was your week? How are we feeling?
Look, I'm just glad that it lived up to the hype for you. We're going to get into your whole trip, the month-long trip, but I'm glad it lived up to the hype, and we had a great trip. Paige came over, met me in Melbourne at Ausx Open that you and I were in the booth for. We did a little riding. We rode practice. We'll talk about that. But I love it, man. Every year since 2016, I posted this on Instagram. So since 2016, Paige and we had a 2-year-old, which my oldest daughter now is 11. And so she was 2 at the time, and we started traveling over there. And we basically went there every year since, except for COVID. So it's like a second home. And yeah, we love every minute of it, man. The beach, the food, the people. It's great.
Let's start at the Ausx Open in Melbourne. I went over there. The deal was to do the broadcast for 2 races, one in Sydney, one in Melbourne. And I knew I was going to be doing some type of riding, right? And at Sydney, at Cronulla, I actually felt pretty good. Track was soft. I thought to myself, man, maybe I should come back and race next year.
You were saying that. That's
yeah,
true.
I mean, we did like a little 3-lap sprint. We talked about it a few shows ago. But I left there confident. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing in Melbourne, but we're going to take obviously a month off. I'm going to come in super fresh and I'll be ready to throw a time down. We were talking in the live show we did on Friday before Melbourne about putting a transponder on my bike. The Penrite Kawasaki guys hooked it up, gave me another bike to ride. Road press day, felt pretty good. Track was really tacky. The gearing of the bike, okay, look, maybe not exactly my forte. You know, I'm a second gear guy, and I had to ride the bike in first gear. I mean, look, no excuses. But we go out there for free practice, and dude, how is that? How is you and I getting ungeared in the locker room after that? I mean, you were talking me off the ledge, bro. Like, what is it about being retired and being slower than you once were? That's so hard for us to take. Like, look, I didn't go out there and try super hard, of course. So last thing I'm going to do is go out there and be sketchy. But guys that I had never heard of in my life, everybody looked like Jet Lawrence to me out there. Everybody looked like Jet Lawrence. And I thought it was funny, us getting changed in the locker room after. And you're like, dude, don't worry about it. And I'm like, blah, blah, this, the gearing, the blah, blah, blah. And dude, you had to talk me off the ledge.
Dude, you would have thought that you were 19 years old and Mitch was about to drop you because you just qualified 16th at Hangtown.
Yeah.
That was the vibe. That was the vibe I was getting.
Yeah.
And we had to laugh because it was pretty funny.
It was.
But the track was much gnarlier than Cronulla. The dirt was really slick. And the level was just higher, obviously, with Jet and Hunter there. The whoops were much more difficult. There was a quad on the track that if you didn't jump the quad, like it was almost like the quad was easier to do than tripling through the rhythm lane because the spacing was just that. It just worked out that way. And the downside, how about the downside of the finish line on press? So picture it's basically a single to the tabletop. The landing was an over under bridge that we didn't go under, but it's one of those types of things. And the landing was so steep. And what did you tell me after press?
Well,
You
dude,
came up short on it.
yeah, we were just doing a small section. There wasn't any whoops yet. So we were doing the one rhythm, the flat straightaway, turn right, little triple out of a turn, and then the finish line. And that was pretty much it. Super steep downside. And I didn't even jump onto the table first. I just went out there right away, basically. I think I maybe rolled it one time. And yeah, I hit it the first time I hit it. You know how it is on those single tables. There's only one place. There's only one place that you cannot case those jumps. And that is just getting your front tire over the downside. It's like you either go hit the downside, go long, or just jump up on the table. And dude, I'm telling you, I saw God before my very eyes. I'm like, not here. I got my girlfriend walked out on track with me. She doesn't get to see me ride much anymore. I wanted to show out. I hit that finish line, dude. I knew right away. And I just went full, for our listeners that can't see, just arms stretched forward, clutch in. I will say I did a pretty I turned it around after that. You even said I was catching the downside and going really far inside. It was all those braking drills growing up really paying off.
Yep. We had about a 3 or 4 lap run there. Like you said, we're only doing about a quarter of the track, if that. But I was all over you, and you were pulling me, dude, like 2 bike lengths. You're landing off the finish, and the race went right through the sand. Actually, it did go under the bridge. My bad. It was a proper over under, because then you would go through the sand and then you go under the bridge. But we would go left backwards down the start straight, and dude, I couldn't make it as tight as you. I just couldn't. Straight up, you're pulling me like 2 bike lengths right there.
I would, at least I have this in my back pocket. Like, it bothered me. I will say that it bothered me how slow I felt in free practice a little bit. But at the same time, I'll give you a golf reference here. It's like, if you play golf once a week and you don't practice on the things that you're not very good at, and then you go out there and shoot 100, can you really complain? Like, do you have any right to complain? Like, I have not been putting in work on the dirt bike, period. Mm-hmm. So at some point, you just got to let it go. Yeah. And I do need to ride more during the week, because if we go back next year and do that same thing, I can't do that again. And look, maybe I'm being a little dramatic for our listeners. If you were to watch me ride, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, that guy shouldn't be out there. But it's just mentally, you want to be at a respectable level. And I don't know exactly where that is, but my God, JB, I got to find it, man. I got to find it.
Well, that's the hard part, is because the expectation is to be somewhat close to the way you once were when you're training full time. So it's so unrealistic to yourself and not fair to yourself to expect that, Totally. I mean, you said a month off, but like, think about how much you've ridden over the past 12 months. Hardly any.
Yeah.
So then we just expect, and same for me, like, then we just expect to go there and like our timing to be sweet and expect to skim these whoops that were actually pretty legit and on bikes that we don't know. So like, yeah, it's a little bit laughable now, because just obviously the way you were acting in the locker room was it was kind of comedy, but it's also like, yeah, it's not realistic to feel like we once did,
Yeah. I thought to myself after, I thought our broadcast that we did for the Ausx Open, maybe it was just getting a chance to work with you and Danny beforehand at Cronulla. But I thought the broadcast was great. Like, it was really cool being a part of the night show call. And I thought to myself after the show, I don't always feel good after the broadcast. Sometimes I'm like, I left a couple things on the table for just like a race, really. Yeah. But after that broadcast, I felt pretty good. I felt pretty good about the flow and what we did. And I thought to myself, have I reached that point now? I'm a better broadcaster than I am a dirt bike racer. And the writing's on the wall. I work way harder at being a good broadcaster than I do being a good dirt bike racer. So I think more like, I tell these stories And I think it's because I think it's funny. It's just like the human condition. It's like, this is just what happens, when you're done. I remember Nick Way used to tell me when I was racing, he would say the same thing. I'd be like, come ride. He's like, dude, I can't take myself serious. I'm so slow. And I think eventually all of that is just going to drop out of my mind, and I'm probably going to have more fun riding a dirt bike than I ever have in my life. It's coming. We're still pretty fresh in the grand scheme of things. So, but overall, Melbourne was super cool, man. We were able to do the live show with Mathis. We even had, which I don't think I've ever seen. I don't know if I've ever seen you have a drink in public, especially in the workplace. But we had a nice little screwdriver before we went on stage. We were feeling it. Had the Lawrence brothers there. It was a pretty cool experience.
That was really fun. Yeah. Shout out to Steve and Jet and Hunter for coming on the show. Nicoletti joined us. And then we also had Lewis Phillips, which was a ton of fun. And there's like 300 plus people in this room right at the stadium. And what's interesting is the stadiums over there, especially Marvel Stadium, it's almost like its own little city within one,
Yeah,
I guess, a few blocks. So picture a stadium like an NFL stadium here, but within that stadium is several different conference rooms, several different there's hotels, there's restaurants, like everything right there. So it was really neat. It's cool room. If you haven't watched it, it's up on our YouTube channel, and it was fun, man. We were we had a drink, and I thought Jet and Hunter were great. They were joking around, and just that atmosphere overall, I had a ton of fun. So that was cool. And then to your point about the broadcast, what's funny now is when you think about, and I used to hear like Emig and these guys say it. Obviously, the racing, if the racing is good, the broadcast is much easier. When the racing's bad, it's much more difficult. And I never really like thought about it much then, but it's so true. And then also to another point to that is what the track is like, the layout of the track. I thought the layout of the track was really fun to be in the booth because
yeah.
there was tons of different options. Like Jet was piecing together different things. A lot of guys were making mistakes because of the dirt. The whoops, it was, guys were jumping, guys were skimming, some guys were quadding, certain rhythm lays. Like it was, so overall, I think the racing, the track layout, the track dirt made for a really fun race call. And then you and I were finding our flow with analyzing each thing. And then Danny did a great job of doing the play-by-play. So I agree, man. It was a ton of fun. And the 3 hour broadcast felt like it was like 30 minutes long. So it was a blast. Good times.
It went by quick. That's what
Yeah.
one thing like about Hunter and Jet coming over there. They've done a lot of off-season races in the past, and that to me seems like the more popular avenue right now. Like almost all the top guys do a couple, if not a few, off-season races. And I think that like 10 years ago, it wasn't like you had your guys for sure, but there were a lot of guys that didn't do any racing all off-season. And we talk a lot like during the regular season, during the playoffs about how long the season is and how much of a grind it is. We've had riders, I remember last year in the playoffs, Chase and Jet and Eli kind of talking about it in the press conference about how long the season is. And we haven't seen Chase, of course, at any of these off-season races. But what was your philosophy in the off-season? Because I always was nervous. I only ever did a couple off-season races, and most of the time they didn't go great. I got hurt, and so that, I guess that kind of scared me a little bit. But I was always stressed out that I was going to miss out on the boot camp time, like the time to get a base, especially, most of the time I was coming back from some type of injury. So it's a little bit easier to maintain form going into Anaheim when you have years and years stacked under your belt, as you know, like fitness-wise, speed-wise, everything. But I was always like, I think, too stressed to worry about these off-season races. Did you ever think that way, or were you just a guy that you needed to race and that was the best way to come into A1?
Yeah, I was exactly the latter. I was always a good practicer, and I realized that early in my career that I needed more gate drops. So I took any and all opportunities in the off season. And once I started to do that, like my first off season race, I think I got Tommy Hahn was supposed to go to Bercy one year, and I was riding for Motor World Yamaha, and he had gotten hurt. And Eric Pinard called Paul Lindsay, who was my team manager at the time, and said that they would pay me $2,500 to go to this race in France. And it's Paris Supercross now, but it used to be Bercy. And I'm like, heck yeah, I'll go. I don't care if I have to pay my way to go, like I just wanted to go race. And then once I did that, it really opened my eyes to not only the benefit of it, but also like just the overall life experience. So I raced all the time, man. People know that. If anyone followed my career throughout the years, they know that I was a big off-season guy. And then I really started to create an identity with that. Like I got my first Racer X cover because of off-season races. I started to make really good money because of off-season races. I started to get more confidence because I would go win. And different to you, AC, I never won really. I won local races, obviously, or like regional qualifier stuff for Loretta's. I would win all that, but I would never win Loretta's. I'd never win amateur nationals. And then I started racing arena cross as a pro. I never really won arena cross races. I won some, but like, so I had to like teach myself how to win again. And, or not even again, just teach myself how to
How
win
to
in
win.
general as a professional. So when I would go win these races and against good guys, but it would only be, let's just say it's 4 good guys instead of 10, like at a regular supercross. So I started to create really my own identity throughout that, started to create my own confidence throughout that. And then racing to me was like the best way to have the feelings, the nervous feelings. You wake up on race day and you feel different. Your body temperature is a little bit higher. So I wanted to replicate that before I went to Anaheim. So that was what I did. But a lot of people are different. I also wasn't a championship contender over here, where I think a lot of those types of guys didn't do it before, like you were saying. And now more and more guys are. I mean, you see Tomac racing a bunch, Kenny's racing a bunch, Jet and Hunter are racing a bunch. Really, the only one, to your point, is Chase. Back in the day, Ricky never really did any.
Yeah.
James did a couple, and then
Ricky would do like the U.S. Open
yeah,
sometime. Yeah.
yeah, but nothing overseas, huh?
Yeah. What do you think, just out of curiosity? I mean, I've heard numbers thrown around, but what did you see? I mean, of course, going over there for $2,500, and then I
Yeah,
imagine kind of more into your prime, I imagine that number went up quite a bit. And you hear these numbers being thrown around now, it's pretty tough for these guys to turn down, I think,
yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, once I moved to the 450, I would get anywhere between 40 grand and 50 grand to go race each race. So yeah, I wouldn't get bonuses or anything. So I'd get most of the time it was 40 or 45 grand plus expenses to go. And I would piece together 2 or 3 of those. And then once I started doing Australia, it was more like a salary. So let's just say I did 5 races and won the championship. It'd be 250 grand for an off-season vacation. So for me, it was always really good. And but now the numbers that you're talking about, I'm hearing anywhere from 100 to 250 grand per race for these
It's
guys.
crazy.
The high level guys. So it'd be hard to pass up a couple hundred grand or 250 grand to go to just do one weekend of racing.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that, I don't know, the general feeling now with all the races that have been happening, it really wasn't. We had a little lull right there after the playoffs, but there really hasn't been much of an off season at all. Like, we've been able to watch quite a bit of racing, which leads me
Yeah.
to my next point. Has there been any surprises for you? I think I know the answer to this, but in this plethora of off-season races, who has been the guy to you that stood out the most?
Um, well, obviously there's been a lot of attention on Hayden racing the 450. I thought that went okay. Like it seemed like more of a fun thing for him to do. What it didn't seem like it was taken super serious, even
Yeah.
from like the team and himself. He is racing the 250 from what I've heard, and I actually had dinner with Brent Duffy, his mechanic, while in Australia. Sounds like they're gonna raced the 250 in Supercross, so it makes sense that it wasn't taken that serious. But I thought he was okay. But honestly, the standout for me is Christian Craig back with a team that I'm really
So
familiar with
good.
in Yariv Konsky. He runs the Australian team. And I love it for Christian because we've been wondering, we talk a lot about a guy like Christian or Colt Nichols, guys like that. And, you're just waiting for them to break out and ride like they did in the 250 class. And Christian, honestly, since the day he got on the 450, something's been missing. And I really believe that like he's back the way he's really happy for one. I think Christian is a guy that really needs to be happy and needs to be on a team that truly believes in him and treats him like family. And Uribe does just that. So I look for Christian to have a great 2026. I really do. I look for him to come into Anaheim with a full head of steam, with something to prove. His back's up against the wall a little bit because of just the last few years in the 450 class, and he's obviously very talented. When we talk about skills on a bike, there's no one that doesn't mention Christian,
Yeah.
right? When you talk about that, like style and all that, still, even with Jet out there and Chase out there and Kenny out there, we still mention Christian Craig, but the results haven't added up to be mentioned with guys like I just said. So I look for him to do big things. Now the question is that I have for you: what is the ceiling? What would be a good 2026 Supercross season for Christian Craig?
That's a great question. And echoing what you said, I don't look at Jet Lawrence ride a motorcycle. I don't look at anyone else, Chase, anybody. And if I put them side by side with Christian Craig, there's not a lot of things that Jet can do, Chase can do, that Christian Craig cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about, of course, these guys are proven champions. Christian Craig, 250 Supercross champion. I'm not talking, every single lap or every single weekend and all the mental toughness that comes with being a champion and a consistent winner. Like Christian hasn't shown that. But in terms of what he can do on a bike, what he can go out there and do, Christian Craig is one of the best guys to me the sport has ever seen, like natural talent on a motorcycle. And I've trained with Christian during the week and seen the things that he can do in practice. And I think throughout the entire industry, almost everyone knows that. But it just comes down to confidence for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was in a great spot after winning the 250 championship with Star. Then he goes to Rockstar Husky. I think that took away his biggest advantage of him in the whoops, like we saw this past weekend. Unbelievable whoop rider. I think the whole 9 whoop thing really threw him for a loop too. That came at a bad time. Yeah. But he was just never, and I know he was struggling. I remember him talking to me. He was struggling with some injury stuff. Maybe I think it was like his arm. I think it was kind of similar to what I was dealing with, like lack of grip strength. So there was something going on there. And you know how it is when you get on these bad runs. I know you've been there in your career. It just seems like you can't do anything right sometimes. And it just, you're doing everything you can. You're working hard. You're trying to keep the faith, but it just becomes difficult. And so I think that's why you're seeing such a public reaction to Christian doing well too. Everybody loves to see a guy just get it out of the gutter and come back and do well. And to me, he is so good on a motorcycle, as I mentioned, that it would be a travesty if we didn't get to see him confident, with the good vibes rolling, with the good momentum rolling. I think his ceiling, his absolute ceiling, maybe this year, I think if he was a top 10 guy, I think if he was 5 to 10, even 5 to 12, I think that would be great. Like his bad night is a 12th or 11th or 10th. And then some tracks that are exceptionally technical, bigger whoops, I could totally see him doing well. But true ceiling, I think he needs to have this year. I think he needs to do that this year to reach his true potential whenever that comes. He's getting older, but he still has some time. I love where he's at now. Less pressure on him to do well. I think he's going to function better in that environment. But there is nothing about Christian, the way that he rides, the fitness that he's shown at times, that to me he cannot be a top 5 guy at some point. And I know that's such a tall task when you look at the running order now, but that's how much I believe in the dude's ability on a dirt bike.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
yeah, I mean, he went by this past weekend, Gold Coast, the legend, Eli Tomac. And I know Eli was struggling, and we could talk about that a little bit. But, dude, did you see that pass in the whoops? And what I loved about that is and I always try to read a rider's body language. Like I was talking to Ashley about it when Christian passed Eli. You can almost see Eli's body language, read this jersey in front of him. That, oh my God, I just got passed by Christian Craig, which is not a slight, it's not that Eli doesn't respect Christian or whatever, but when guys pass you that you think should never pass you, like it's hard not to get a little tense. And I thought anyway, I could be just seeing things, but I thought I could see that in Eli's body language, like, oh my God, what is going on? But for Christian, it's like he didn't get frantic. It's not like he passed him and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. And just the fact that I think that moment for him, I think that's the biggest moment since he's won a championship for him. And we talk about it all the time, but sometimes it's just those moments like that can completely change the course of where you're headed. And I think right now he's got more belief in himself than he's had in a really, really long time. And it really wouldn't surprise me to see a couple top 5s out of him at some point this season, if he can stay healthy. Does he have a full-time deal in America? He has to at this point.
Yeah, they're going to make it happen for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah, I agree with you. It's really cool to see. Obviously, a lot of fans like him, like his story, family man type of guy, a champion, and a crazy cool riding style. And now on a team that I was actually texting with him after the weekend and just mentioned how much. So Yuriv Konsky, the team owner, he has a way about him, and I'm sure you've been around guys like this. He has a way about him that you really want to do well for him. You really want to work hard. You really want to get the results. And I haven't been around very many people in my life that are like that, but he's one of them. And Christian feels that same way about him. So sometimes it's just being around a guy like that can get the most out of you. And, we're seeing that with Dean Wilson. Shout out to Dino, second title in Australian Supercross Championship. Dino got another one. And I think he feels the same way about Yuriv as well. It gets the most out of him. And we've seen that now for a few years with Dean. So I think it's cool. It's awesome to have teams like that, that continue to support these guys that are a little bit older, that have, don't have factory rides, aren't making millions of dollars, but still have the skills to be out there and do well. So that's going to be fun to watch.
Give me your insight on, we'll just touch on it quickly. I'm sure he's not stressing it too much. Look, he had a great race a few weeks ago. He did really well. First race on the KTM. Obviously, it just didn't look like things were going Eli's way. It didn't look great, but it's early off season. The track conditions were some of the driest I've ever seen. And I know Eli likes that condition. I've talked about it on here before, but I know he likes the dry and slick stuff. You see video clips of him in his facility in Colorado. A lot of times it's kind of dry and hard packed. So it's not like Eli doesn't know how to ride when it's really hard packed, but obviously the setup looked off a little bit. 1 to 10 scale, are we worried at all?
Are we worried? I don't think they're worried. I think there's work to be done, which honestly, what's the date today? December 2nd, as we record this. I'd much rather have some work or known work to be done on December 2nd than January 22nd, which has happened in the past to a lot of riders. You show up to Anaheim, you're like, oh no, we're off. So to know they're a little bit off right now in those types of conditions, I think is a perfect case scenario. Like I really do. So I thought a couple weeks ago, in Vancouver, Eli looked better than I expected.
Yeah, me too.
In Gold Coast, he looked worse than I expected because of how good he was in Vancouver. And I'm just simply going to put that down to dirt. And he was running the scoop in really, really hard packed conditions again. I think the biggest weakness that I'm seeing from them, the bike and Eli himself look to be like the whoops, look to be struggling just a little bit. But like I said, they've got 4 weeks to figure it out, and with that team and Eli's skills, I think they work it out in the next couple of weeks and show up to Anaheim ready to go.
Yeah, I think anytime somebody as great as Eli, because you've seen what he's capable of, when you see guys like Christian Craig passing him, Hayden Deegan passed him at one point, I think it's easy. It's like a bit of a shock to the system because he's run circles around guys like that so often. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm not too worried about it. I don't think he's stressing it super hard either. My next one is, of course, Ken Roczen has been just in the off-season megastar, dude. Like, I absolutely love how Ken has handled like this part of his career, doing Supercross only, showing up at an outdoor here, there, racing all over the world. I mean, the guy, I don't know, for not being, he won 2 premier class outdoor championships, which is a huge deal. But for not being a Supercross champion, and somebody like Cooper Webb, 3-time Supercross champ, or Dungey or Villapoto, like the name, just how strategic he's been with where he races, when he races, and just his general attitude, how he is with the media. For not being a Supercross champion, he's got to be the most popular dude. I'm thinking of somebody like Kevin Windham. He's got to be one of the most popular racers of all time that hasn't won a Supercross championship, maybe the most popular ever. Mm-hmm. But then I see him, and I'm like, I'm always ready to, and Ken's our boy, but I'm always ready to be like, okay, the Supercross championship for him, we all knew it was headed that way before he crashed in 17. But just as I'm getting ready to write him off, like there's no way he's going to be able to get this done, it's like I watch the guy ride these off-season races, and I'm like, I get that it's 17 rounds, they're different, kind of different style of tracks, they're longer races, not everyone is there. I get that. But just the eye test, to me, it's like it's hard to write Ken off as potentially being so I think something else is going to have to click. He's going to have to, instead of that mid-season point where he sometimes falls off a little bit, it's going to have to go the other way. He's going to have to find a way to like ramp it up and be his best at the last 8 races or whatever. And I don't know if that's possible for him, but when you watch him ride, you're like, this guy, it's got to be a Supercross champion. Like I can't write Ken off from that yet, JB. Am I biased? I mean, is it just because he's my friend or what?
No, but I think people truly forget. Remember this year? Like if Tampa doesn't happen, if he doesn't get into lappers, man, I don't know if he takes it down the stretch, but it was looking pretty good. He finally won Daytona. He was in a really good headspace. Look, you and I talked to him a lot. So I think with Kenny, a lot of it is headspace, how he's feeling, how the body's feeling. And it was pretty good. And he had the red plate for a little bit. Like he was really, really good. Now, obviously Jet got hurt and Hunter got hurt. Coop goes on to win the title. It was kind of him and Chase down the stretch. But could Kenny have been in that mix? Possibly, right? So now fast forwarding to literally just this week, I think Kenny's, man, he's maybe the happiest I've ever heard him. Like it's wild to think that, but the older you get, and you'll experience this as well, the older you get, almost the more comfortable you get in your own skin, especially as athletes. Look, there's not an athlete that's not insecure, right? I think we both admit that. Like we're all insecure guys, and we live and die by our identity within our results. And Kenny has pretty much grown out of that completely. and he's a great dad, he's a great husband, and he's so good on the bike. And I think he's gelling with his motorcycle better than he ever has. We've talked about the relationship with him and Larry Brooks. So I would not be surprised. And we're going to do a preview show. We'll get into more of this here in a few weeks. But I would not be surprised if Kenny wins multiple races and is in the championship fight more than he ever has been in his career in 2026. I really believe that.
Bold
I do,
statement.
mainly just off talking to him and how he sounds, how he feels. And then his bike looks unbelievable, dude. That Suzuki looks incredible right now.
It does. It does. Who, I'm kind of hitting you with one out of the blue here, but who aren't we thinking about? Is there anybody that's going to, like we had Julian Beaumer, it could be a 250 or 450, but it just, you got the gears turning on a preview show. And I'm trying to think of somebody that's going to come in and have a year and surprise everybody, make a name for himself like that. Who haven't we talked about? And that's, we talk about that throughout the year in our production meetings and whatnot. It's so easy. It's so easy in our sport to focus on just the top three dudes or whoever is in the championship fight. But we're getting to the point now where it's starting to get a little bit more like, I'm kind of rambling here, but it's starting to get a little more like F1. We're back in the day, everybody just used to, the guys that had the big brands were pretty much the guys that won or got on the podium all the time. And now you can have dudes like Christian Craig that go out there and get 8th or 9th, and it is considered a success, and people want to follow that story. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. And I have one for you. This is more of this isn't he's going to surprise people. This is more of a want. I want Colt Nichols to get back to form. And whatever that looks like, whatever that result is, I would love to see it. Similar to Christian. Like I think those two guys, and they were really champions around the same, did they win the same year or a year apart from each other?
A year apart, I believe.
Apart.
Christian won in 22, and I think Nichols won in 21, I believe.
Okay.
I think.
But both of those guys have yet to achieve or be in their, I guess, achieve what they're capable of in the 450 class, because they're both such great riders. And I was actually thinking this yesterday. I'm like, who's a guy like Christian? Because we just talked about, I think Christian's going to be the surprise of 26 as far as getting back to his capabilities. And we're going to be talking about him a lot on Race Day Live, I believe. Like he's going to qualify in the top 3 multiple times, I think. But I would love for Colt Nichols, selfishly, because I like Colt. And I would love for him to get back on form. Wouldn't that be cool to be, Christian gets a 4th and Colt's 5th or something like that, or they're 6th and 7th or whatever it may be. I don't know the exact result, but I think that would be cool to get those guys back up in the mix because they're great personalities for the sport as well.
I agree 100%. And Colt has always been, even I was racing him, of course, on 250s. He was on Star. He was really good in 19. Again, he's another guy like Christian. I wouldn't quite put him on the same scale as I would Christian in terms of bike skill, because I think Christian just has that like elite feel that not a lot of people have, but he's up there. I mean, he's up there. You watched him in whether it was 2022 or 2021. It's my job to know these things, but I don't. You watched him win that championship and you're like, this is for sure a guy that can make a lot of money, do really well on a 450, be a top 10 guy, with some top 5 potential. I mean, you can make a good career out of being in that 5 to 10 spot. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's kind of been kind of like, I know he's good friends with Justin Bogle. It's kind of the same type of deal as Bogle, where they're like so good on the bike, but sometimes you look at the lap times or you watch the race and you see him back in like 16th and you're like, there's no way. Like, this guy is way too good to be, I mean, not that it's easy to get 16th, but he's definitely got a lot more in the tank. And we talk about it, but it's confidence, it's situation, it's having the equipment, it's everything has to line up for you to achieve your goals, achieve your potential. And he for sure has a lot more in the tank, man. Like it's one of those spots where I even felt this like my last year racing, there wasn't any pressure. I had some injuries and whatnot, but it's so easy to get 12th a couple of times and feel like you belong there, and just fall into that rut where you're kind of limiting yourself in a way. So it's like, how do you get out of that? I'm sure that's what has been going through his brain. Like, he's trying to find a way out. He knows he can be better than he's been. Unbelievable rider, champion. Another guy I would like to throw in the mix is Shane McElrath. Shane McElrath, he's getting a lot of, in the offseason results, he talked about it at the press conference at Ausx Open, but his offseason results haven't been great. Like a lot of times he is the fastest rider on track, but he falls down or gets a bad start or whatever. But McElrath was a guy, I remember the first time I ever raced West Coast, 2018, Anaheim 1, most nervous I've ever been in my life, by the way. I remember I rode really well. I got a good start. I think I got second or third, but McElrath got the whole shot. And it was just like, I never thought to myself, I'm not going to be able to match McElrath, like in terms of just straight up raw speed. But I've had moments like that with him. 2019, Budds Creek, he goes out, he's getting 10th all year. He comes out to Budds Creek and goes 1-1. Like there are guys like we're talking about, Colt Nichols, Shane McElrath, that it's in there, dude. Like they can go out there and make a splash. It's just whether they actually go out there and execute it or not, whether or not they have the confidence, the bike, whatever. I think McElrath is a dude. We saw some flashes towards the end of Supercross last year, but I think he's a guy that has not just started scratching the surface of the potential of what he could do on a 450. Is that you agree or am I crazy?
Well, I was going to add to that, but we're like getting into, this is like a preview show.
I know.
But how about that trio of Christian Craig, Shane McElrath, and Joey Savacci? That's a team, dude.
That is a team, dude. That's a squad.
Bloodlock Honda, that's a strong, legit.
Yeah.
I mean, like you could say, like if you said 5 years ago that's the 3-rider team, you would be like, oh, that's a factory team.
Yeah.
Like that's factory Husky or something. That's factory KT, whatever it may be, Honda, whatever. Like that's a legit team. So shout out to those guys. And I think it's good because they're all three about the same level. And you don't want to be the third best guy in the truck, dude, or even the second best guy in that truck. So I think they're going to push each other to be up in the mix, because Savacci's another guy that could be top 5. I mean, we talk about him all the time. So let's move on though. Let's talk a little Australia.
Hit me.
Let's talk first thing, the Australian food/coffee.
Okay.
Let's go food first. What was your favorite type of food over there? And did you like it better than here in America?
First of all, I love America. I love my
America's
country.
great.
I love my country. All right. We got to do something about the food situation, man. We really do.
No doubt, man.
We really do. It's bad. It's bad. And don't get me wrong. You can go, if you have the money, you can go to Whole Foods, or you can go to places and get some decent food. You go to farmers markets, and no doubt you can find it. But it's just the ingredients that we allow in our food. Everything, dude. Everything. Like I love Skittles, man. Every time I'm at the airport, like I'm grabbing sour Skittles, like every time. And if I eat a bag of sour Skittles here, like, dude, I'm gonna have a straight up tummy ache for like a while. Like I'm gonna feel bad. I'm gonna feel like crap. I'm gonna ask myself, why did I just eat that bag of Skittles? Australia, it's not like that. Like there's so many restrictions on what they can put in their food. Even I love Pop-Tarts too, man. Not gonna lie, I love Pop-Tarts. And dude, I could eat a Pop-Tart for breakfast in Australia and I feel fine. Like I feel fine. And Ashley was saying this about the coffee. too, is that she can have, you know, a tall latte here from Starbucks and just feel cracked out of her mind, jittery, anxious. You go there, you have a latte. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's placebo, but don't feel jittery. Don't feel anxious. Like, I just, whatever we're putting in our food here, in our coffees here, we got to stop. And yeah, another thing there, like, there's so many people that are in shape. And I think that's because, like, I couldn't go in a grocery store and find anything that was going to kill me. I can walk into Target and go pick up 10 things right now. That I'm going to die a slow, gradual death if I eat consistently.
Oh my gosh.
And so, yeah, that's what I have to say about the food. I loved it. I really did. The Pop-Tarts were probably not as good, honestly, but they're not killing me. Another thing about Australia that I loved is that everything was 60 cents on the dollar.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Like, I bought some. It was so nice. We went shopping a lot. Like, we came back. I don't know how we fit everything in the same bags we did coming home, but we went shopping a lot. My girl loves to shop. And honestly, these days I do too. I've been liking redoing the wardrobe and whatnot. I went to like this designer store, got some nice pants, a shirt, some sunglasses that you loved.
Oh,
you
those
stole
are tight.
from me briefly. Yeah, and it's nice seeing like $800 on the car and knowing that it's only $550 or whatever. So that was nice. And then coming home, going grocery shopping, went to Target the other day, got a Christmas tree at Home Depot that cost me $500. And now just having to adjust with the fact that whatever it says is what it is. Australia was, if it's 500, it's 300. So that, yeah, I'm passionate about, from the least guy you would expect it from, because my diet's not the best, but we got to get some more regulations on like this stuff that we allow in our food. It's killing us, man.
Yeah, here's a prime example. On the way home, Paige and I, just 2 days ago, we're in the Sydney airport, and we go in the lounge, right? It's the Qantas lounge where we fly American all the time, and Qantas is part of the One World Alliance, whatever. So we're in the lounge, and they have a juice machine that you literally can juice real organic fruit and vegetables. You can juice it right there. And like,
oh, that's right up your alley.
I'd say if there's 50 people in the lounge, 15 or 20 of them are actually juicing and drinking a juice. First thing in the morning. It's real early. So you get a juice. There's a bunch of fruit there. There's like some poached eggs. There's some smoked salmon, like all good stuff, right? And to your point, the coffee is just incredible. So we get some juice. They had a smoothie there, really, really nice smoothie. And we get a coffee, feel great. Well, then fast forward, we fly to LA. So now we land in LA in the morning, and we go into the American Airlines lounge. And there is bagels with cream cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Scrambled eggs that look like they've been sitting there for 6 days. It looks like soup, and some black coffee. And like it was like a huge rude awakening. Paige and I just like, oh my gosh. And then with the coffee, well, you can't get a latte or anything. You can, but it's out of the machine, and it's like, it tastes like crap.
All up.
But if you just get a black coffee, there's just like little pods of like French vanilla creamer or whatever. So that's like a prime example. And I'd never thought about it that much until literally within 24 hours, we were in 2 different countries, 2 different lounges. And it was like a direct comparison of just your general health, and whatever is sitting there, most likely you're going to eat. Or if there's juice there, if there's a smoothie there, if there's some nice poached eggs, like, you're going to eat it. Same thing over here. If there's a bagel sitting right there and you're hungry, you're probably just going to eat the bagel, and filled with probably some antibiotics and whatever. So that's a direct comparison. I'm with you though. We got to do something about it. But
well, I do think, because I think I felt better when I was there.
Yeah,
I felt better. And I think that has made me turn the corner a little bit. Like, we ate out, we DoorDash something one time, like, since we've been home. And that's very unlike me. we get to the end of the day, I'm tired. I'm like, let's DoorDash some Chipotle or whatnot. So it made us a lot more health conscious, I would say. And so we got to find a way. We got to find a way to get the movement going. It already has come out a little bit. People, especially during the last election, people talking more about what we put in what do we allow in our food and whatnot. But I'm turning the corner. Australia has changed me. I'm going to be healthier from now on. I'm not going to be bringing 64-ounce vanilla sweet cream cold brews into the RDL studio every Saturday.
Folks, stay tuned on that one. I'll give you an update about round 4.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I need to order like a 64-pack of highlighters right now.
Hey, what about on the Australia topic? Dude, what about Dino? What a legend, huh? Everything he went through, losing his mom at round 2, the morning of, winning the championship. And look, I know people are going to say, well, he's just racing Harrison and Phil and Clout and Tanty like these guys. But still, it's really difficult to get it done. And for Dean, his like resurgence, like a second half of his career, because we obviously think of Dean as a motocross champ and stuff, but dude, what a legend. He's leaning into it, winning all around the world. And he's just so fun to be around, huh? He just makes you smile.
And it's like, I think with Dean starting out in his career, man, he's been at it a while. Like I remember watching him race Supercross with Porcel and Barsha. I remember number 108 was his first year. He went straight into Supercross, like 17 years old, won a championship his second year in the class. Nasty, so good. A lot of injuries. And I think coming from a place of being a guy that won a championship that, has these grand expectations, I'm sure when he was first moving into the 450 class, he was thinking about being a podium guy or winning races at that level. Like that's how good Dino was. And so for him, the way that he's navigated his career, I think is it's kind of inspirational, man. Like how he has, like you said, leaned into the role, the niche that he's carved out for himself now. Because like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe people didn't talk about it, but I think we all just kind of assumed that Dino was on the way out. Right? And then next thing you know, he's racing in Brazil and Australia. And moreover with him, you can tell he's enjoying what he's doing. And then his story with his mom passing away. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Dean and his family. I was around his mom and dad just a little bit, nothing crazy, but just really genuine people. And I'm glad that it's working out. I'm glad that it's working out for him. He really was. And it's hard anywhere in the world to go and win, especially when everybody knows every time he lined up in Australia that he is far and away the guy to beat. He even talked about it a little bit before Sydney. Like there's a little bit more pressure in the niche that he's carved out for himself now compared to him racing in the States because he's expected to win. But dude never made a mistake. He was just rock solid all the way through. And we need those, just like we were talking about Shane McElrath, Christian Craig, Colt Nichols. It's like as important as Jet Lawrence is and Hunter and Chase and Tomac, it's like we need these stories too. Like these stories are inspiring and, it makes it, these are the stories that make it fun to be a dirt bike fan in general. So I'm glad that you brought Dino up because he's a bad dude.
Yeah, I wonder, thinking about Race Day Live and such next year, it's like the perfect platform to really highlight these types of guys because during the broadcast, if Jet's winning and there's a battle for second, they can only do so much.
Yeah, for real.
Their hands are tied. You have to cover the winner, obviously, and then you want to cover the next battle. And even if Christian's having a great ride in 6th, it's really hard to show sometimes. So you almost like it's kind of on us, and I feel like we're up for the task, I guess, to highlight these types of guys. Like, because you and I love this. I was one of those guys. You were more the guy at the front. So it's like it's a blend of two guys that have lived both sides of it that we want to highlight folks like this. And maybe we need to do a better job of it or continue to do what we're doing to highlight these types of guys. So
I always say this. I did an interview with like Swap Moto Live. I think it was at Tampa Supercross, but I think in the role that we're in now, to me, I feel a responsibility being in this position to whatever I'm speaking about on rider 1 through 22. I have a responsibility for that to be as educated as possible, because we are largely, there are a lot of hardcore fans that are tuning into the pre-race press conferences, the post-race, all the content during the week. But I would say more generally, a lot of people just tune into the race and follow the storylines that are presented on the broadcast or on race day live. And I think that we have a great responsibility to tell those stories, and it's, of course, it's easy to be inspired and kind of in awe of greatness like Tomac or Jed or this or that. But there are so many stories worth following through, like I said, 1 through 22. Like, not everybody's going to be Tomac, not everybody's going to win, but it doesn't make it, just like you said, Dino's story. We're hoping Christian Craig going in the next year. So I agree that we knew it's easy for us because we're in all of the same thing of like what somebody like Jet can do.
mm-hmm.
But we do need to do a better job spreading the love a little bit. It's hard. It's hard to get everybody in there. It's not as easy as what you would think from the outside looking in, but we can do better.
Yeah, even on race day live, with it being a 3-hour show, you would think we have so much time, but
no,
it's not a lot of time, man.
It's like
you get it, yeah.
Yeah, that's surprising. JB, yeah. That's what else you got for me? That's pretty much it on mine. A little bit of a shorter show, but
yep, love it. A couple things. Last one is, well, one of the last ones.
Yeah, give it to me.
Joe Shimoda.
Oh,
what a bummer,
brutal.
huh?
Yeah.
How to get off.
And why is it that these things in dirt bikes, another thing we haven't talked about was Lux Turner. I don't know if that was the second one that you were going to say, but talking to Lux Turner, if you guys don't know, Lux Turner, privateer in America, goes to Australia and then just turns into this different rider completely, like just beaming with confidence. You watch him ride and you're like, this guy is going to be close to the top 5 in Supercross on a 250. Talked to him before he went out in practice, goes out, breaks both his wrists. And of course, now talking about Shimoda, it's like, gosh, it's like you can have, for Joe, it's like he had the world in the palm of his hand. Like everything was lining up for him to have this big breakthrough year that we've been waiting for a while. And then it's like just something like this happens, dude. And it's we talk about it a lot, but how quickly things can change in any sport, but especially ours. Like, it's just a bummer. I don't know the extent. I don't know if you've heard anything. I don't know the extent of Joe's injuries, but I know that it's like he's expected to make a full recovery, but it was a pretty big one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the extent of it, but similar to Julien Beaumer, I think they'll be out for Supercross, I would think. I don't want to speculate too much, but yeah, just a bummer. Like you said, had everything going in the right direction, re-upped his deal with Honda, had gotten the confidence of, I feel like he was going to go on a run. I mean, I think a couple shows ago, we were talking about him doing the three-peat of Supercross champ, motocross champ, and SMX champ, so that was just like a month ago.
And it's just hard. It's hard to have all the momentum rolling in your direction. And then when something like this happens, it takes a lot of, for the most part, a lot of the time, it takes a lot of confidence away. It takes the momentum away. It's just mentally, it's really difficult. Like, dude, I think more than anything, mentally, it's just so hard to go from your daily life, of which consists of just trying to be better on a dirt bike, to there's only so much you can do throughout the course of a day, and you feel like you're kind of falling behind and all that stuff. So whatever it is, I hope that for Joe, I hope that he can get back in time for outdoors, and at least it would really, really be a big blow if he missed the whole year.
Yeah.
Like then it's really starting over. So hopefully it's a thing where, I don't know, halfway through Supercross, he can start riding some, coming to outdoors, carrying some of that momentum and kind of quickly build back to where he was. That's my hope for him. But anyway, huge blow to the series. And I was looking forward to seeing, I don't know what Lux is going to do because I know Bar X is a West Coast team. But I was looking forward to seeing what he could do as well. So that's a big blow for Lux.
Yeah, that's one of those stories that we were just talking about. And that's one that you and I were both kind of off the record. Like we were going to highlight him because I think we both became believers
Oh yeah,
in the few times that
totally.
we watched him ride in Australia. And we've seen guys ride enough. You can tell the level, we know the level that guys they need to look like and
Yeah,
whether it's corner speed or just the way they are on the bike. And honestly, like Lux had it, man. You're right. You articulated it really well with he literally turned into a different rider in those couple months of being in Australia. And look, sky's the limit for him still. I think he can still get back,
yeah, I
and
agree.
I
I
don't know
agree. It's
maybe if he
early.
does east, if the team can go east, not quite sure the dynamic of that, but I think Lux Turner I think he'll be a factory rider within the next couple of years, and I think he'll be fighting for podiums the next couple of years. Like that's how much I believe in his skills, and I think you would probably agree. So, and a good dude, really good dude. We got to spend
Yeah,
some time with him and did a couple sit down interviews with him, and what a nice, genuine, humble dude. So
it's the Nets, man. The Nets for
the net
Lux.
got him.
They had a net. It was that set of whoops that you were talking about. They were pretty beefy. Got a little nuts. Everything's fine. He was heading over the berm, and I get you got to have a net there because it goes right into where the
Yep.
the racing line there. But yeah, he just kind of hung his back wheel on the top of the net and then just straight down.
Yeah, it
Gosh,
was like a slingshot, slung him down. Like everything, if the net's not there, it's totally fine. But
fine.
like you said, you need one there. And the net just caught the back wheel and just slammed him to the ground. So yeah, super big bum. He had a huge points lead. He was going to win the championship.
No
Was going to,
problem.
come back here with a bunch of confidence, ready to go. Show up at Anaheim, all guns a blazing, and just yeah, man. Speaking
Dirt
of
bike.
Anaheim, we'll be there next week, dude. Media
Media
days.
days.
Here we go.
I went by very fast, brother.
Crazy, right?
Really fast. What day you coming out?
Fly Monday night, and then yeah, land Monday night there at Orange County, and then so for people that don't know, it's basically Adam and I and the broadcast team will be sitting in a room, like basically picture a suite at the stadium, and each rider will come in, and we get about 30 minutes with them, and we just talk storylines. How's it going? Let's say Chase Sexton walks in, we talk about the new bike, we talk about Hawaii, we talk about training, how everything's going, and we just take notes and get storylines. And I think it's cool. We use a lot of the stuff that we get next week
Yeah.
throughout the season, especially to start the season. But I'm looking forward to it, man. A lot of changes to the teams and riders and such, so it's going to be fun.
I'm interested to see. It's kind of weird for me last year, just being so fresh off of racing and being in that role. It's like
Yeah.
it's starting to. Like I said a few weeks ago, it's kind of starting to feel like this is what I do now.
Mhm.
So these are the things in my life that are fun for me to pay attention to. It's like how that narrative within my own mind kind of changes over time. So it's cool being on the other side, like being on the other side of the fence, But last year I was very surprised with how much honesty we got out of
Right?
dudes.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting everybody to come in there and just be like, yeah, bike's great. Off season was amazing. I'm fit, blah, blah, blah. But dude, guys that were struggling, guys that had some really gnarly stories, if you remember.
Hmm.
And dude, they were just honest with us. I love that, dude. I do not feel like we were anywhere near that as a sport 10 years ago.
No.
Everybody, I
And there
don't
was
know, this
some
new
stuff.
generation.
Yeah, there's some stuff that I almost felt like we couldn't share.
No.
Like that room is supposed to be a room where we're getting info, and they know, they know that we're literally we're the ones on air that can say anything to thousands of people, right?
Yeah.
And you're right though. You wonder if that's because I always felt more open when I could talk to guys that were in my shoes. Like if Ricky would come talk to me and I was still racing, I felt
Yeah.
like I could be more open with him
Yep.
because the way he would portray it on air, I felt like I could trust him. And I wonder if they think that about us now. Like we're never gonna, like we know the line, right? We know how and what and when to share it, I guess. And there's definitely a line there. So, and I hope we never break that trust. But you wonder if just getting in a room with guys that have done it before, and obviously there's other folks in there too, but yeah, there's a lot of honesty in that little room there at Angel Stadium. So looking forward to it. And yeah, man, stoked to hang out again next week.
Me too. Me too. It's going in, I'm sitting here thinking about how we're already going into next year. And an interesting point that I'm not sure if I can articulate this well, if it's going to come across as rambling. But I just think about like how my relationship with time has evolved over the course of my life. And when you're racing, to me, in a way, you always have, it's like, it's just always the next race. And you don't really think too far past that. And then you have that race and you think about the next race. And it's just kind of a never ending cycle of like, I don't know, purpose right in front of you. Now being in this role now, it's like, I don't see it as I'm living life to a certain point and then I'm going to reevaluate, then live life to a certain point and then reevaluate. It's like just a never-ending cycle that just keeps rolling. I don't know if you felt that at all, like retiring from dirt bikes or not. But it's weird that not being a racer anymore, I don't know, it doesn't really connect to anything. But it's just weird to me that not being a racer anymore has completely changed the way that I look at and experience time. Like it's just, we're just going into 2026 and then it's just going to be 2026. I don't know. There's something that probably sounds really dumb. Like what I just said probably sounds dumb, but it makes sense.
It doesn't at all. It's so true.
And dude, it's so weird. It's so
true.
weird.
Because
It's
think
just
about if you're racing right now, the only thing you're thinking about is my forks. I gotta test tomorrow.
That's it.
Okay, my shock it was a little bit fast today through that second set of whoops at the Cowie track. We're going to K2 tomorrow. Okay, I wonder if I can change it and get it better.
It's
like
so
you're right.
immediate.
It's so like one step right ahead of another. But I'll tell you what, wait till you have kids, dude. It just literally pushes the fast forward button on life.
Crazy. I mean, I can't wait for that stage of my life, but I also can. And gosh, I know it's hard. The older we get, it's harder to stay present. But I figure the more I can try to stay present, the slower time will go.
For sure.
You know. But yeah, I'll be there before I know it. I know. So I'm just enjoying the ride, brother.
And it's a good time. I say this a lot. We said it a bunch. We did several different shows in Australia. What a time it is to be a Supercross and motocross fan right now.
There's just so many stories, dude.
So many stories. It's going to be so awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm equally as excited for those, like what we talked about with Craig and Nichols and all that. Like I really genuinely am not selling that to you guys. Like that stuff really excites me because those guys are, I genuinely do view those guys as like highly skilled players that could show up and surprise. So there's a lot to look forward to. You're awesome, dude. We're doing a preview show soon.
Yep.
We're doing a preview show soon. We got some sponsors coming on board. ACJB show just through the moon.
Let's
and
go.
we owe it to the listeners, to the viewers. So thank you guys for the support.
See ya.